From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. Hours of debate in the House of Commons ended last night when the Liberals and the NDP passed a substantially amended version of an NDP motion that had initially called for the federal government to officially recognize the state of Palestine. Instead, the two parties agreed that Canada should actively pursue the establishment of a Palestinian state as part of a negotiated two-state solution, which aligns with Ottawa's existing policy. Anthony Housefather was among three Liberal MPs who voted with Conservatives against the motion, which he said in any form sends the wrong signal.
This was tabled after the entire debate had concluded. How could you have such a substantive amendment that nobody has the chance to see or debate at all? It offends my privileges and the privileges of the people in Mount Royal.
The motion also included a reference to Hamas as a terrorist organization and a demand that Hamas lay down its arms. Despite the big change, the NDP celebrated the passing of the amended version as a historic win. Alberta's opposition NDP is demanding an apology after a stroke patient was reportedly discharged from an Edmonton hospital after a 6-month stay and taken to a motel for his long-term treatment. 62-year-old Blair Caniff told CBC News in a weekend report he wasn't consulted on the move to a Travelodge motel in Leduc. His wife said the motel room and its bathroom couldn't even accommodate his wheelchair, and he was fed fast food. Health Minister Adriana LaGrange says proper procedures were followed. She says the non-profit that took over Caniff's care chose that motel. TELUS Health has released its mental health index today, looking at the mental health of employed people in Canada, the US, the UK, Europe, Singapore, New Zealand, and Australia. And the report reveals that young Canadian workers under 40 are increasingly feeling isolated and lonely compared to their older colleagues. 45% of workers said they do not have relationships with people they trust on the job, while younger workers say they are more likely to lack trusted relationships, which the report says is a factor in loneliness. David Phillips says although the spring equinox typically marks the end of winter, he feels like winter never truly arrived. The senior climatologist with Environment Canada says after the country's warmest winter on record, he's referring to it as the lost season.
It was fleeting, fickle. I mean, it was just the season that, like, things that should have been going for weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, they lasted 2 days, I've been following this for half a century, and I've never seen numbers like this.
He says it was 5.2 degrees warmer than normal from December to February, shattering the previous record by more than 1 degree. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Alex Ovechkin scored twice to lift the Washington Capitals to a 5-2 victory over the Flames in Calgary on Monday night. Ovechkin's 2 power play goals made him the third player in NHL history to have at least 20 goals in 19 consecutive seasons. He joined Gordie Howe and Brendan Shanahan as the only players to achieve that goal-scoring feat. Elsewhere, Jeff Skinner had a hat trick in the night's only other game to lead the Buffalo Sabres to a 6-2 win over the Seattle Kraken. And so far, so good for Rachel Homan and her Canadian crew at the World Women's Curling Championship in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Homan defeated Marianne Ravik's team from Norway 9-4 to improve to 4-0. Homan will have 2 tough tests Tuesday when she faces Stefania Constantini's 4-0 team from Italy, as well as defending champ Silvana Tiranzoni's 5-0 squad from Switzerland. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.